Well, and, you know, we all kind of have talked about, you know, Jay is one of the few people who actually, well, Jay and Bark and Sprout were people that actually had people that, hey, you got to watch this. We all kind of had to sneak around and do it. It was kind of a happy happenstance that we got to do it. And as I was doing the research for this, Alien itself was a bit of a happy accident. There were a lot of things that led to the core people getting together, and I know this is kind of a deep cut, but for those that don't know, it was written by a guy named Dan O'Bannon, who had worked with John Carpenter on John Carpenter's master thesis film called Dark Star. And I think you're pretty familiar about this topic. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because he went on to do the Jodorowsky's Dune thing, and if it wasn't for that project falling through, we'd not have gotten Alien.
Yeah, no doubt. As a matter of fact, I think it wasn't too long ago that I actually heard about the whole Jodorowsky's. Is that how you say it, Jodorowsky?
I think so.
Jodorowsky, something like that. But so I went and researched that and found out about kind of watched some documentaries on it and whatnot, and through that documentary started linking some of the other elements that I already knew about the film. Some of the creators, some of the artists, the concept designers. More Mobius, Frost, and obviously H.R. Giger, which we all understand and love. But yeah, exactly. Moment of silence, please. But yeah, and watching that actually, kind of getting onto the whole, a little bit separate from the Alien topic, but I really did, wish that they had gone through with the whole Dune thing, the whole Dune project that they were doing.
Well,
because it was so
what
goofy,
kind of
so
movie?
weird.
I was going to say that movie was just going to be weird. That movie was going to be weird and goofy. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So, but linking all those things together, hearing a little bit more about how they all came together and how it all morphed into what it is, what it manifested as we know it as today. It was just interesting to see all the different mindsets and all the different perspectives that came to make that happen. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was. Anyone else want to talk about Jodorowsky's Dune or anything like that? Because the interesting thing was when that project collapsed, O'Bannon was basically penniless, with nothing, and he had to get back home and lay on Ron Shusett couch, and Ron was keeping him, according to O'Bannon's words, Ron was keeping him alive, feeding him hot dogs every night, and he's like, man, I've got to sell the script. And he'd already had about 29 pages written, and he couldn't even think of the name of the thing. He called it Star Beast. And he said, that was that title. He said, the minute I typed on the page, I was just like, I knew that I could not call the movie Star Beast, And so he was typing up dialogue. It was one of those big dialogue scenes where they're in the kitchen, and after Harry Dean Stanton's character's been killed, and they're talking the alien this, the alien that, and finally O'Bannon was like, oh my God, that's the title. It's Ed Alien. It's a noun. It's an adjective. And they said from that point on, they never changed the title. So they took it to Roger Corman's group, who, for those that don't know, Roger Corman made B and C level horror and sci-fi. They were going to make Alien in about 3 rooms, spend about $20,000 or $30,000 on it, and on the surface of it, as O'Bannon says, this sounds like a real success story. First script they wrote, they took it to a studio, they're going to make it. It's all great. Well, I guess he let one of his friends read it, and for whatever reason, they couldn't sign the deal because Corman was out of town or something like that. And that night, his friend called and said, hey man, Fox is going to, we can set this up at Fox and make it a big budget picture. He's like, well, I don't want to, he said, I don't want to mess up the deal with Corman. He goes, no, give me 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. And that's when they brought in David Giler, Walter Hill, and their big production company. Fox, little did they know behind the scenes, Fox was desperate to follow up from Star Wars, and the only script they had that had spaceship in it was sitting on their desk was Alien. They're like, whatever it takes to get this made.
Greenlit.
Yeah, exactly. They greenlit it like that. And so it became immediately, because let's face it, guys, Alien's best kept secret is that it's a B movie hiding in plain sight. I mean, it's a B monster movie that's been given some class. And what did it was, when they brought in the team that moved it forward, when they brought in 3 things that made Alien special. They brought in Ridley Scott, they brought in H.R. Giger, and they brought in that cast. So I thought maybe we'd talk about that for a minute, about anyone who wants to talk about any of those topics. Anybody want to chime in? I'm going to, again, start down here at the far left.
Well, I'm actually going to deviate a little bit. And the one thing that you see here is you bring in the director, the cast, and everything. Also, the music. Soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I can't see how we can sit here and talk about Alien and not talk about
Jerry Goldsmith.
Exactly. I mean, to this, I mean, you know the moment I'm talking, you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we've actually played a few games using the music.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember it was Jay, myself, John was running a game, and we had a cousin with
He
us.
would get us all.
And he would. I mean,
Those jump scares with
those
the
jump
streak.
scares, and it wasn't anything in the game. It was just the right timing with the music, and it would get you. So I mean, every one of those, the director, the casting guy here, are instrumental in this. But you cannot say Jerry Goldsmith did not equally share value into that movie with the sound, with the music.
Perfect. That's a great point, Bob.
Um,
You talk about all three.
Well, so I agree. I'm glad you brought it up with the music. So all I remember is that ba ba ba.
Yeah.
That sort of background setup type stuff.
That almost like French horn sound.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. So I don't know if it was exactly French horn.
Yeah.
You know better than I do probably, but the set production, some of the set pieces. I'm just trying to go in my head and try to capture what was impactful about about that first experience and what made it so serious for me and why it stuck. But I'm thinking about the set pieces. I'm thinking about the writing of the characters where they were like real. I might as well have been watching a documentary when I was a kid.
Yes,
seeing it. I mean, I might as well just been watching something that was recorded, about real dudes and folks out there, doing something, and nobody had done it before. Everything else was a polished sci-fi. They had all the bells and whistles. They were kind of following the regular formula for how buttons were supposed to look and how the spacesuits were supposed to look and this and that. And then you got these cats that this guy's got who's it, Yaphet Kotto?
Yeah.
He's wearing the he's wearing the bandana and he's cursing and jokes back and forth like real truckers in space.
Truckers in space. Yeah.
It was one of the concepts they were doing. So that to me, and I think that had a lot to do with obviously Ridley Scott with his visual language that he typically applied to stuff and the writing of the characters and everything just kind of made it a real experience for me. It was impactful. Like I said, I might as well have watched something real.
Yeah.
I have one more thing.
Yes.
So I don't know if anyone else wants to can validate this, but if I remember correctly, wasn't Sigourney Weaver's part written for men, and then they decided to go with a
Unisex.
They were all written unisex. So
okay.
there was no description of any of them as male or female in the script.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd heard that it was written for a male part. For some reason, they went with Sigourney Weaver, so I didn't know. So that's why I was going to bring that up, because that was a good talking point if anyone knew anything.
Well, and I would argue, again, I think we're going to probably get into this a little later, but I would argue that Ripley was our first female action hero.
Okay.
But even though there's an argument that Alien's not an action film, but I'm going to kind of pull both of what you said about the soundtrack and the set pieces. The thing that got me when I was a kid watching that movie for the first time, the credits roll, and of course you've got that otherworldly sound that's panning across space, and the word alien just slowly builds out of those block letters, and then you go inside, and all you hear is this little string piece of Goldsmith playing, and the camera is moving. I mean, it's like the Nostromo, kind of like we said about Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The Enterprise was real. The Nostromo was real. I mean, it's moving through these corridors, and like you can see the little like pieces of plastic fluttering, and there's just a space helmet there, and it was just chilling. I mean, just from the first few moments, it's chilling. Jay?
I would agree that script-wise, it seemed very much a B movie. I mean, because the script was okay at best. The cast, they did really well. I'm not going to take anything from them. I don't think that they hit. It wasn't just a perfect happenstance for the cast. I think a lot of other actors and actresses could have done well in it too. What got me that made that thing from a B movie to just exactly what we all fell in love with was again, the sets were phenomenal. Someone said about watching the ship go across the sky, it looked like something that I could imagine in my own vision of what a starship, huge, massive city like ship. It's dark, it's cramped, it's creepy, it is dirty, it is not anything like we have seen before. And I'm like, man, just that by itself added a whole new creepy level to it. And then with the Hitchcockness.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
and I love Hitchcock. So anytime you bring Hitchcock elements into a sci-fi movie and it's going to scare the crap out of people, that's a win-win. The the other thing about it was that the horror, even though it did have some very in-your-face moments, it still wasn't all about being gross and grotesque.
I'm sorry, was there a pun there? I mean, in your face. I'm sorry,
I was going to go for the chest.
Chest moments.
But yeah, I mean, it was. They did it tactfully. They did it without being completely gross or grotesque. Obviously, my kids have seen it, and it's great that we're sharing these wonderful movies with our kids. I think that's important to keep them educated, and to do it right in a controlled atmosphere. That way, if they're like, hey, you know, this is too much, you can always pause and then come back and watch it when they're ready.
Jay really hit on it when he was talking about dirty. Every space movie we had seen before, Star Wars, Star Trek, any of those, everything was clean. 2001: A Space Odyssey, everything was pure, clean, and safe. In this movie, you've got water dripping from who knows where. Oh yeah, everything's
Oh yeah, I forgot
dirty.
about that, yeah.
Everybody is grungy, truck driver looking, talking nasty. You know, nobody's using proper protocol or anything except when they're communicating that to computers.
Officials.
And everything is just real laid back, lazy. These guys are tired. They've been working hard, and they're in space, and they've got this gigantic ship, and they're out there, 6 people,
So I had a question for you on that. So I mean, I know you're prior Navy, correct? So did you ever serve on a submarine?
No.
So
we hunted the submarines.
You hunted the submarines. Okay. So I know Turtle Gal was actually on a submarine. So I always kind of felt that image there was almost kind of like what it would be like in a submarine, and maybe she can validate that or not, or no.
I was on the Tinder. I was on the destroyed Tinder.
Okay. Well, no one's been on a submarine.
Actually, Tinder is probably more similar to that.
You're
Is it?
you're thinking the batfish.
Right.
You're thinking the batfish. 918 batfish.
I would probably say what she did on that Tinder was probably more along the lines of what the Nostromo was. It was a tug, basically.
And that's another great point, is that it brought so many different facets. Alien wasn't just a singular threat. You had claustrophobia.
Yes.
You had
Isolation.
isolation. It was dark. You didn't know who was your friend, who was your enemy. There were agendas behind the scenes from every character on how they were going to survive or kill somebody else or sabotage the mission. So there was always something. And then the alien itself was 3 different stages. So there was threats everywhere, and that's what was really alien to me, because I had never experienced that. You always knew there was a bad guy, he's bad. There's a good guy, he's good. Yin and yang kind of thing. This was all over the place, and it was really interesting to see how it played out.
So another question I have for you. So I mean, would you almost believe that the ship was actually a character as well, because any damage to the ship actually became a life and death situation for everybody inside? So you could almost see the ship as a character, and any time the alien was doing damage to it.
I think because the way that they've named the ships in all the movies, they aren't, I think they're all based on tragedies. And so it's nothing heroic and, Superman ship. It's all very dark and, desolate kind of names and characters from historical stories. So I think in that sense, yes, the ship was their lifeline. It was the only way they could survive. So they had to retain the integrity of the ship in order to stay alive at the very least. So.
But it was also, just real quick before we go to Ashton, I've always said that I always wanted to serve on the Enterprise. The Nostromo, I don't want to go anywhere near that thing. I mean, especially when you look at it like this, the scene that we brought up when Harry Dean Stanton's character when Brett gets killed, and he goes in that big room with the chains. I'm like, this is the sci-fi version of a Gothic castle. Right. This is a haunted house.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, thank you.
What function did it have other than just scare Jesus?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sitting there going, why is
It's
it
like Midnight, things written in the flesh part with the chains and whatnot. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
So go ahead, let's